The video you're about to watch was recorded a year ago, so let me give you some context first. I was planning to make an announcement last year about writing my first book, but due to two major setbacks that completely changed my plans, I was unable to make any progress on the writing of the book. It might be another few years before you can buy the book. So next month, I'm hosting a training program where I teach everything that I'm going to put into the book. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear idea of the topic. So if you're interested in the training, details on how to sign up will be at the end of the video. My name is Tolu and I help creatives and leaders grow from dreamers to achievers. The next clip is from March 2025. What is this book about? Let me tell you a story. About 7 years ago, I had just finished with my university. So once I was done with school and I was back in Lagos and I knew that I had more time to be more active in church activities, I immediately started thinking about being the youth leader, or in my church we call it youth president. So I started thinking about being the youth president in my church. And the thought was coming so strongly, it wouldn't let me go. So I started wondering, what is this? Like, is this pride? Is this me thinking, you know what? I'm looking at this whole church. There's nobody here that is better than I am in, maybe leadership. I'm the best person to handle this job. Is that what I'm thinking? Am I being proud? Am I thinking that I can do this better than anyone else, so I should be the one to do it? So the more that I thought about it, the more that I suspected that this might be pride, because why would I just suddenly want to be the youth leader? There is already a youth leader. Am I trying to say I can do this better than him? So I prayed about it. On a Tuesday, I prayed about it and I told God, if this is my own pride speaking to me, take this thought out of my mind, because it was really strong. It wasn't just a passing thought. It just kept coming. But it wasn't like I had specific plans, like if I'm the youth leader, this is what I'll do, or that's what I'll do. It's just, the thought was just there. So I prayed about it and I told God, if this is my own hubris, take it away from me, take this thought away from me. The very next day, I went to church on a Wednesday for our midweek service, and my pastor called me into his office to talk to me about becoming the next youth leader. So that's when I realized this thought, the reason it was so strong, it wasn't the thought wasn't coming from me. This was God directing me. This was God telling me that he wanted me to be the next youth leader. And so once my pastor talked to me about it, I understood that this assignment was coming from God and not from my pastor. So I took it very seriously. So the next thing I did, I started reading leadership books. I don't remember every single book I read, but there were probably no more than 3 or 4. I remember 2 though. I read Who is Holding Your Ladder by Dr. Samuel Chand, and I also read What is Shaking Your Ladder, also by Sam Chand. So I read these books. I was, preparing myself for leadership, and my pastor, with his experience, he knew it would be a bad idea to throw me in at the deep end. So he did not make me the next youth leader immediately. Rather, every October in my church, we dissolve the leadership and the new leaders are put in November. So when he did that year, he put the same person back as the youth leader and told me to become that person's vice president. Now I would have 1 year to understudy this person. I would have 1 year to learn from him and watch him more closely before I take the position. Give me more time to prepare and be ready. And that was a very, very good idea. I would say after being the vice president for a year and then being the president for 5 years, and I've handed over now, I'm not the youth leader anymore. One thing I realized is those books I read while trying to prepare for leadership, they barely helped me at all. And that is because those books were designed to help leaders who are leading in an organized setting. For example, I'm a co-founder of Kugali. At Kugali, we have structure. It's organized. We are paying people's salaries. If someone does not perform, we can terminate their contract. We don't have to pay them anymore. they have a reason to try to perform because there's money on the line. There's hierarchy. They know who they are reporting to. They know who is paying them. They know the repercussions for failure. They are customers. If we don't deliver, the customers are going to complain and all of that. But in a church setting, you are not paying anybody that is working with you. I mean, obviously, I know there are some paid people in some churches, but the point I'm making is for the majority of the people you are working with, they are not paid. You are not paid. They are not paid. Everybody is here as a volunteer. So this would apply in any volunteer setting, not just in a church. And I say volunteer in this case to mean anybody can come into the church. You don't hire church members, right? Anybody can walk in, anybody can walk out. You cannot stop anybody from leaving your church. If they say, you know what, they don't believe in this anymore, or they're just not interested, or they need to relocate or whatever, they're gone. Nothing you can do about it. If a new person comes the following week, walks into the church on a Sunday, you don't have any control over who comes in. You're not choosing, you're not hiring people, you're not interviewing people and being like, okay, you pass the job interview, you can work in this company. No, anybody can come to your church. So that's what I mean by a volunteer setting. You have almost no control over who comes in or who goes out because it is voluntary. It's completely voluntary. Leadership in the volunteer setting is what my book is about. The books I read did not prepare me to lead in a volunteer setting. They only prepared me to lead in an organized structure. And having gained years of experience leading in volunteer settings, I think at this point, I want to write a book for somebody who was or who is like I was 7-8 years ago. So if someone else finds themselves in a similar situation to what I was in, to the situation I was in before, and they need to read a book, they need to prepare themselves for this leadership position, I want to create a resource that they can use. Obviously, it's not just the church setting. I just told that story because I think that was the moment where I actually prepared. I actually read books and they barely helped me. I have actually led in other volunteer settings apart from in church. For example, the apartment building that I live in, I am the de facto representative of the tenants there. Again, I was not elected. It just kind of happened. The other tenants just kind of let me lead, representing them to the landlord and anybody else that has to do with the building that we live in. So I'm the same as them. I'm paying the same rent they are paying. I cannot fire them, for example. I don't have any leverage over them. So how do you lead people like that? That's another example. Another example, my secondary school alumni group. Now that's just less than 100 people, I think. But I led that group for about a year and a half or almost 2 years at some point. I was the vice president. We had a president. I like to call her Oga Boss. So Oga Boss, if you're watching this video, I'll talk about you in my book. I led this group alongside, while assisting my Oga Boss, and we learned a lot. It was a very, very, very difficult task, but we learned a lot from that. So that's another volunteer setting in which I've led. I also assisted my friend when we were in university. He hosted the very first skating marathon in West Africa. I can talk about his experience and some of the things I learned from this because in this case, I wasn't the one leading. He was leading. He taught me how to skate. He was leading. He created this, organization and hosted this skating marathon. And his friends, myself and the other people around him, we just assisted him and did what we could and, followed his directions, executed the project and hosted this skating marathon. So again, I think I've given 4 examples now. I do have a few more, but I think at this point you get the point. And if you don't get the point, there's no point in me making more points because it will be pointless. I don't know what I'm going to title the book. I don't know the name of the book yet, but I know the focus. The book is about leading volunteers. So I'm putting this out there in public now so that I now have a little more pressure on myself to finish the book. I suspect I'll be done with the book sometime in 2026, and maybe the book will be published in 2027. But I will try my best to actually finish the book this year in 2025. I've been planning this for about a year now. When I say planning, I have started the writing process, but only planning the structures. I've planned, the content, the topics, the general idea. I haven't started writing the actual chapters. Oh, and one more thing. I'm not writing this book alone. I already have a co-writer, and she and I will spend a lot of time this year writing the book together. I specifically asked her to be my co-writer because, one, I needed a woman's voice in the book. I don't want this book to be useless to women. I don't want it to be like, okay, yeah, but you can say that because you're a man. That is not our reality. That's not what it's like for us trying to lead in a volunteer setting. So I did not want the book to be useless to women. What's the point of writing a book for leaders that excludes all female leaders? So this is why I've asked my friend to be my co-writer. She also has a lot of experience leading in volunteer settings. Again, this book is for anyone who is a leader in a volunteer setting. Even if you work in a structured organization where you're getting paid, if there are sub-organizations within that organization, maybe women's group within the company or teenagers group, or I don't know, whatever structure you have within your more structured organization where you end up leading volunteers, I think this book will be useful to you. So keep an eye on this, and I will let you know when pre-orders are up. So thank you for watching, and until next time, remember, dreams don't turn to dust. Welcome back to 2026. So, like I said at the start of this video, I'm hosting a mentorship program for leaders who lead in a volunteer setting. My co-author will be teaching as well. You'll hear from her in a minute. If you would like to join this mentorship program, click the link in the video description to sign up. We will hold 1-hour classes online every Monday and Friday for 4 weeks, and you will be given assignments after each class. The virtual classroom will double as a community of like-minded individuals. Once the 4 weeks of classes are over, the online community will remain active for 2 reasons. Once you begin to practice what you've been taught, you can bring your questions to us for further advice, and you can have conversations with the other students about how they are handling similar issues. If you're wondering why I didn't make much progress on the book last year, I made a video on my birthday 2 weeks ago reviewing my last year, and I go into details on the 3 big surprises that changed all my plans. You can watch that video to hear all about it. The link is in the description. Well, that's it from me. Let me hand over to my co-author so that you know she's real.
Hello, it's Chizy here, and I'm super excited to be going on this journey with Tolu. Like you rightly pointed out, we have had so many conversations over the years about volunteering and leading volunteer groups within our communities, churches, and even in professional capacity. And we had even started working on a book. And I'm super excited to be starting this training where we're able to share some of the insights that we've gathered over the years related to volunteering and leading volunteer organizations. I'm super excited to bring with me the non-profit perspective as well as the perspective of a woman in leadership. So yeah, I really do look forward to starting the training and learning from you as well on what your pain points have been and how we can definitely contribute to mitigating some of these problems. Okay.